the idea of just being spiritual wasn't enough? Was it the discipline?
Partially it was the discipline. I didn't really feel that I could do justice to the relationship that I had found with the unseen simply by being spiritual but not religious. You know, I felt like I wanted to be on a path that had been tread before, and where, you know, there were historical signposts and ritual and discipline. You know, I just didn't feel like being spiritual but not religious was ever really an option for me, because that's sort of what I'd been in a kind of incognito way my whole life, and it was just tremendously unsatisfying, because, you know, I didn't need to feel like I was, you know, perfect just the way I was, and I was a unique little snowflake, and that the universe was just surrounding me with love no matter what I did. That, you know, I wanted to learn things, and that's, being told that you're perfect just the way you are is not a great way to learn anything.
There is a mosque that you thought of as the Butterfly Mosque.
Yes.
So
yeah.
tell me about it.
Well, when I was living in Tora, which is a factory district in southern Cairo, which is not a usual spot for expats to live. In fact, it's so unusual that my presence there and my roommate's presence there caused kind of a lot of problems. But it's right next to a very infamous political prison that is so top secret that you can't even take pictures of it, and if they catch you taking pictures, your camera will be confiscated and you can get into a lot of trouble. But inside this prison, which is, you know, has the big walls with a razor wire on top and has the, you know, patrolmen outside, there was this very beautiful little mosque which looked older than the prison. It was in a much older style, and may simply have been enclosed when they built the prison, because it was just sort of there and in the way. And I used it to navigate by. Like, if I could see it sticking up over the wall of the prison, I knew I was within a certain radius of where I lived. And nobody knew what the name of this mosque was, because nobody goes there, because it's in a prison. And so I just started calling it the Butterfly Mosque, because it reminded me of a butterfly caught in a jar, like kids do in the summer, because it was this beautiful, wonderful little building in this terrible, terrible place, and it was just sort of trapped there because it was in the way.
So why did you choose it for the title then?
To me, it was kind of significant. I think, especially in the West, we think of religion in general, and Islam in particular, as being very these forces of oppression, of intolerance, of basically all of the bad things that you can do in life, when in fact, having been to the Middle East and having seen how religion functions there, I'm much more inclined to believe that it's religion that's been trapped by years of bad governance, by poverty, by war, by lack of education, by social unrest, and that in fact religion is a very positive force in these societies, and in fact sometimes in very oppressive situations the only force for mercy and for altruism and for charity in very brutal dictatorships. And so to me, the Butterfly Mosque was sort of symbolic of the situation that religion is in the Middle East as a whole. That some very beautiful traditions that perform a very, very important social and emotional and spiritual function are being trapped by brutal politicians and bureaucrats, and a very terrible situation that happens in a lot of these countries. And I mean, I think where Egypt is concerned, the important thing to keep in mind is that the Egyptian government is socialist. It's presumably secular. You know, it was founded on secular principles, and you know, the Mubarak regime has made a mess of the country in a lot of ways, and I think people have turned to religion because they see, and not only in Egypt, but sort of across North Africa and parts of the Middle East where the Ba'athist and socialist dictatorships are so common, people turn to religion because they see secularism as having failed on basically every level. So I think when people are quick to assign blame, that's something that they should keep in mind.
You know, now you're going to be kind of the poster girl for Islam.
I hope not. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'm representative of really anybody but myself. The message of the book is essentially that all of the things that we face in the quote-unquote clash of civilization are ultimately personal. You know, they're ultimately resolved on an individual level. They're ultimately figured out by individuals. I think they will be solved not by great movements and you know, reformations and that kind of thing, but by the efforts of individuals. And I am one individual. And so I hope people who read the book walk away with that knowledge that that I'm not trying to be a symbol of anything. I'm not claiming to be a symbol of anything. You know, I'm not a scholar. I'm not a great diplomat. You know, I'm just a writer and an observer. And I hope, if anything, it will cause people to go out and have their own experiences and expose themselves to new things on their own, and not to make me kind of a symbol of something bigger.
The book is The Butterfly Mosque, A Young Woman's Journey to Love and Islam. I've been speaking with the author G. Willow Wilson, and The Butterfly Mosque, published by McClelland and Stewart.